Hope, love, pride. A celebration. Streaming on CBS News Bay Area.
Hope, love, and pride. Today we honor change makers from the past.
We were basically vigilantes, drag queen vigilantes. 2-3 blocks away.
Several times I just took off running in the direction of the whistle just to see if I could be of any help.
And we honor those on the front lines today.
It is a lot to be a drag performer in 2023, where you have legislation being passed that is anti-drag.
My big wish is just let people live their lives.
We celebrate today those in our communities who open our minds.
All of the book fairs that were happening, so it felt really important to create a space where the primary focus was joy.
And we honor those who inspire.
It's easy to look back and remember how insecure and how sad I was, but it had an impact. So just hang in there, because really you were so beautiful for all of your imperfections.
This is your day. It is our day. CBS Bay Area on a Hope, Love, and Pride Sunday.
Hope, love, pride. Proudly presented by Pet Food Express and Broadway San Jose.
Good morning. Happy Pride Sunday, everybody. I'm Reed Cowan. It's my honor to be here. CBS Bay Area is your community station and your home for community, for conversations, for connection. You want a little bit of that? Keep it tuned here today. We are where you are, and we want you to know that we know that so many of you are celebrating at home, getting ready to celebrate out at the parade on Market Street and all over the world, seeing how San Francisco and our beautiful Bay Area does Pride. You know, we say this a lot here because we mean it. Our stories define us. Your stories matter. And because of that, here at CBS Bay Area, we do Pride different, and we believe we do Pride right. Today is not just about a parade. It's about the people in the parade and the stories that define their part of our LGBTQ plus tapestry and the allies who help to meet those challenges. Today, we celebrate the legacy of drag, not only in the Bay Area, but all over the country back to the days of Stonewall. We celebrate and love our trans brothers and sisters who are under attack right now by just being themselves against all odds. And we do these things with an eye on our past and our hearts in the future for kids. We know you're watching us do what we do. Maybe you online right now, streaming somewhere in rural America. We see you, we feel you, and today is your day of hope, love, and pride. It's been a month of celebrations across the Bay. It's been a beautiful month, right? Look at this. This spot in the Castro is an emblem of the struggle for LGBTQ plus rights and the massive pride flag known the world over above the spot where Harvey Milk stood on a crate on a random day and said these words: "Hope will never be silent." And hope indeed is not silent today. Look at that, everybody. You're good looking, Bay Area. From that flag in the Castro to flags all over the Bay, North, West, we know Pride in the Bay. It's not just a San Francisco story. We see you in San Jose. We see you up there in Oakland. We see you in Belmont, Daly City, and
1, 2, 3. Woo!
And we see you in Sausalito. Congratulations, you celebrated your official Pride event. We also see you in the beach town of Pacifica, where you created your second annual Pride Festival this month.
We're here because we support love, equality, and for everybody.
Yes, it's a love fest on a Sunday. We also see you and celebrate you in a way that's visible for miles around the pink triangle on Twin Peaks. Look at that. Every year it takes a community, a village of volunteers, and look at you. You were out there helping once again to install that triangle that spans across 200 feet. And a show of solidarity for our transgender community members with a rally and a march at Mission Dolores Park. We love you. We see you there too. And as your stories and celebrations light up the Bay Area, we are dazzled by this, a massive laser beam blasting the colors of the rainbow. This went down Market Street at night during Pride Weekend. 49 feet wide, a beam miles long, enough to stretch from the Ferry Building to Twin Peaks. And look at this. We hope if you are watching this live online today that you feel the colors of those flags, the joy of our celebrations, and the light from our city on the hill today. We have an entire news team dedicated to Pride today. The parade getting underway in less than a half hour. The theme this year, looking back and moving forward. And Kelsey Thornton is live on Market Street to set the scene for us now. Kelsey, how you doing, friend?
Hey, Reed, we're doing good out here. You know, there's already a lot of people out here. We still got a little bit until the parade starts, but you can see just how many people are already lining Market Street here. Of course, that at the end is the Ferry Building. That is where the parade's going to start. It's going to go all the way down Market Street to the Civic Center, and we're expecting it to start here in just a few minutes. But you can see there's a lot of people out here, a lot. It was cold this morning, but we just saw the sun come out, so it's starting to feel a little warmer, and people are really excited. And as you said, this is one of the biggest Pride events in the country. There's people from all over the world that are coming out to watch the parade. We've met a ton of people here already. These girls actually are from Sacramento. So what made you guys want to come out and see the parade live this morning?
Well, I haven't been to the Pride Parade before, and because we're so close to the area, I heard San Francisco is just the best place for Pride parades.
Anything you most excited about?
I guess the performances.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a ton of fun. And as you know, Reed, we got some runners running through here. These guys are running. They're kicking off the parade early, apparently. But yeah, we're going to be out here all morning talking to all sorts of people. And as you know, so many exciting people coming out here, a lot of fun coming through the parade. We're excited for it to get kicked off. We've already met some of the people in the parade, and we'll have much, much more coming up soon, Reed.
All right, Kelsey, thank you. Happy Hope, Love, Pride Sunday to you, my friend. Say hi to everybody down on the parade route. As you can see, I'm not alone in the show today, just like Pride Sunday reminds you out there you're not alone. It's about community. It's about conversations. And you know who's doing that day in and day out? My co-host for this hour, Manny of San Francisco's iconic Manny's. Welcome.
It's so good to be here. Happy Pride. Best day of the year, right?
Right. And there's a feeling, right?
Yes.
It's a community feeling.
Yes.
But before we get to that, I want to brag about you.
Oh, no.
You've created a landing space for community conversation. It's really fascinating, really. Be it climate change, women's rights, trans rights. In fact, just days ago, the First Lady of the United States stood in front of the Welcome to Manny's sign to participate in a conversation while she was in the Bay Area. It is really about having conversations and having people hear our stories, the power of stories, is it not?
Absolutely. Our stories are what drives us, and that's what allows us to make the change that we need to see in the world for all of us to be accepted and loved. And so it is our responsibility, not just today, but every day, to make sure that we are telling our stories, that we're standing out loud and proud.
Well, and that's why we do what we do. We love the parade. We also believe that it's about the people in the parade, and that's why we like to offer a mix. You know, we know that that Pride is playing out this year under a huge blanket of opposition. Our drag community, and you're friends with many of our local icons, are under attack like never before.
Yes.
In fact, we're seeing the state of Tennessee was the first state in the country to ban drag shows. Many legislations in places like Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky. I stopped there because there are more and more and more bills being introduced. And while there are no successful anti-drag bills in the state of California, there's been huge opposition. You might remember recently the Dodgers invited, then uninvited the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. That sparked allyship in Los Angeles and elsewhere. But guess what? The Dodgers re-invited the sisters, partly because of that allyship and advocacy. And Sister Roma, who is an icon in our local drag and philanthropic community, was honored at the state capitol recently. That whole episode really punctuated the need for coalitions to join together. We know that. So, Manny, why are coalitions so important?
Well, we're not going to be able to fight on our own. That's just, the numbers are not in our favor. If we are going to be accepted and if we're going to be welcomed into the communities that we all live in, both in rural America and our cities around the world, then we need to partner with our straight and allied brothers and sisters. And so very strategically, I mean, we can't win this fight alone. We couldn't win the fight for same-sex marriage alone. I mean, we need other people to know us and to care about us and to understand what we need in order for us to fight and win.
You know, last year, right before this broadcast went live, Roe v. Wade was overturned. And so the conversation was, again, coalition building, marching one with another side by side, shoulder to shoulder. This year it's drag and anti-trans legislation. How important is allyship in meeting those needs?
It's essential. Right. I mean, first of all these issues affect all of us. Misogyny, sexism, and assault on women's bodies, those are queer women as well. I mean, we have a piece of this fight within our community. And we need our friends in order to win these fights. And so we have to stand with women in the fight against their bodies with Roe v. Wade. Now as well, the assault on kids, trans kids, These are a basic assault on our basic rights, rights to privacy, rights to performance, rights to speech. And if they start attacking us and our ability to wear what we want and go where we want, they're not going to stop there.
You know, you see the quote that's on the wall at the Holocaust Memorial, and it says, "First they came forward," and we know what that quote says. So many things, though, in San Francisco really are demonstrative of this. We tend, in San Francisco, to really provide a counterpoint to the national conversations and narratives. You know, while drag bans took hold, guess what happened? Mayor London Breed named San Francisco's first ever drag laureate, friend of yours.
Yes, Darcy.
Drollinger,
Yeah,
listen.
one of the greats.
But I'm also so grateful to be the very first drag laureate of San Francisco and the very first drag laureate ever.
You're gonna see Darcy in today's parade riding with Mayor London Breed. Darcy owns Oasis nightclub, by the way, started a drag queen meal delivery service during the pandemic. You know, it has been said that drag entertainers are our gay superheroes, right? And a local drag troupe weathered not only hate for drag, but AAPI hate during the pandemic. Ryan Yamamoto introduces you to the Rice Rockettes.
Time takes perfection.
This is 2 hours.
Hours of love, years of dedication.
It's been quite a long time. 2-3 years short of my 20-year anniversary.
Nearly 2 decades of devotion to become the artist known as Estee Longa.
She's feisty, failed makeup diva slash delisted old Hollywood icon who no one books her anymore because she's slapped too many directors in her time.
But Estee Longa is more than a queen. She is the founder of the Rice Rockettes, a group founded 14 years ago before there were many Asian Americans performing in drag.
Just the number of Asian drag performers in San Francisco was very small. Like, you can probably count them on one hand. We officially formed in, and that's when we had our first booking as a club event as a group. It was wigs flying everywhere, there was confetti, and there were people falling and people doing all sorts of things. So it was pure chaos, but it was a lot of fun.
Rice Rockettes.
The fun building into a following, the Rice Rockettes making a national appearance in 2011 on America's Got Talent. Today, booking more than 50 gigs every year.
Drag culture has sort of like crept into the vernacular, the fashion, the makeup. It's just become very ubiquitous to like modern day culture.
But drag's newfound attention has come with newfound problems.
Did you guys call the cops?
Problems the Rice Rockettes know all too well when one of their own, Panda Dulce, became the victim of hate during a drag storytime event in June of last year. Our doll Lynn spoke to Panda Dulce about that scare.
Taunting me, calling me a groomer, a pedophile, a tranny, and interrogating the parents. Why are you bringing your kids to this?
Confrontation has not stopped the Rice Rockettes, but it has made them more careful about the events they choose.
I'm more insistent about queens being by themselves and having people with them to gigs. And I don't take on certain gigs anymore because of it. So I think we are on a sort of heightened awareness.
Where today, Estee Longa and the Rice Rockettes feel they have to be more than just entertainers, but spokespeople for their art.
We do our jobs, trying to exist.
My big wish is just let people live their lives. You know, they're trying to go to work, they're trying to live their lives, they're trying to go to the bathroom, they're trying to play sports. And I think, if anything, just maybe if it's not your cup of tea, just move on.
It's a wish that will take more time.
You're doing it as long as I have been doing it.
Time to reach perfection, time to reach acceptance.
And coming back out live, Manny, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't honor the legacy of local drag icon Heklina, who we lost recently. What was Heklina like?
Oh, she was irreverent. She had a cackle that you could hear for miles.
Everybody said.
She was able to combine fierce advocacy for our community, fierce independence and strength, and also just an incredible, consummate performer and professional. She held San Francisco nightlife for decades.
What a lot of people don't know, when you come to San Francisco, you are going to see people like Heklina, people like Darcy Drollinger. You're going to see, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. They're not only out there to entertain, they're there to fundraise and to help people and to make sure that the force of their platform lands in the lives of people who are needing it so much. And so we remember Heklina and her contribution not only to drag, but to San Francisco. And you know, I know Heklina would want us to do this today. She'd want us to be seen. She'd want us to live out and proud and out loud. So let's talk about you at home. We can't see you through this. We're maybe making you think like we can, but we do want to see you at home. We know a lot of you are hosting house parties all over the Bay. So all you TV appropriate house party pic and post it on Twitter using the hashtag KPIX Hope Love Pride. Hashtag KPIX Hope Love Pride. You might see yourself in your chips and dip and guacamole all on live TV. We can cheat on our diet on Pride Sunday, can't we?
Yeah, today we can do it.
Yeah, woo, we see and hear you. There you are live out on Market Street at the iconic San Francisco Pride Parade. We'll be out live throughout this broadcast. Plus, a special Pride appearance from activist and icon Jane. Who's in that wig? That's your real hair, I know it.
Yeah, Jane, what wig? What are you talking about?
Right, Jane Fonda on what hope means. And we owe this to Manny, by the way. But first, let's toss it over to one of my friends, Ross Matthews, judge of RuPaul's Drag Race and also co-host on The Drew Barrymore Show. Ross, take it away.
Hello, I'm Ross Matthews from The Drew Barrymore Show. Now, drag is important because unlike any other art form, it allows artists to express themselves by transforming what's outside to reveal what lies within. And trust me, I get a front row seat on RuPaul's Drag Race, and these artists inspire me every week. To quote my friend RuPaul, everybody say love. That's right. We are all wishing you a very meaningful and happy Pride Month on CBS Bay Area.
Hope, Love, Pride. Proudly presented by Pet Food Express and Broadway San Jose.
We celebrate the love and hope, love, pride. It's on display. More than 200 same-sex couples tying the knot. What a joyous occasion. We celebrate you, San Francisco City Hall.
I think it's important for people in other parts of the country, in small towns and red states, to be able to see couples like us getting married, celebrating Pride, and knowing that they're not alone.
That's really it right now, right? You're not alone. Welcome back. I'm joined by Manny of the iconic Manny. If you're watching from out of town and you're planning to come visit us, go to Manny's. So what does Pride mean to you in the face of so many anti-LGBTQ plus bills around the country?
Well, in particular, today, I was feeling very proud of my city.
Yeah.
I spent yesterday afternoon dancing and jiving and moving around Dolores Park, and there were thousands of people there, all shapes and sizes,
Right.
all colors and creeds, women and men dancing together in unison, loving each other. And it made me really proud of San Francisco. Our city is not just a place, it's a symbol. It means something to people. And I'm feeling very proud of it. It's been through a lot over the last 3-4 years, and it feels alive right now. And for me personally, I grew up in a ultra-Orthodox Jewish family in Los Angeles, and I knew I was gay from a very young age. And I was very scared. Once I realized I was gay, I wasn't sure what the future held for me. I know a lot of people have had similar experiences.
Kid from Roosevelt, Utah, raised in a conservative Mormon family, scared to death. In fact, I wondered if I would be fired for being out on TV. So I always get weepy on days like this, that I'm here and we're able to tell these stories.
What allowed you to overcome that?
A deep breath and a lot of allies letting me know I was safe, right? Which is why allies are so important.
Well, part of what let me come through my experience and my journey was this place, was San Francisco. I moved here 11 years ago, and the city gave me the strength that I needed to be and live my true self.
Well, and you saw scenes like this. Let's in fact go live right now to Kelsey. She's on the parade route. Kelsey, we're mindful of so many allies who are out there right now marching down Market Street. It's important that the world sees allies, is it not?
Yeah, of course. That is a huge part of any Pride parade. It's not just people who identify as LGBTQ. It's also their parents, their family members, anyone else that supports them in their life. Of course, that is a huge thing. And another thing in this is the fight for marriage equality. Of course, that's something that a lot of people have been discussing lately, given what happened last year with Roe v. Wade. And here in California, there has been a very particular fight when it comes to the battle for same-sex marriage. Of course, people who have lived in the state for a long time remember Prop 8, but many may not realize that Prop 8 is still on the books. It was overturned back in 2013, but is still in the Constitution. And that is why there is a growing movement by a lot of politicians here in California to try and erase that from the Constitution for good. Now, I actually got the chance to interview the couple who originally fought for the right to marry and overturned Prop 8 back in 2013. And Reed, I'm telling you, I don't get starstruck when I interview people much, but when I talked to these two women, it was very impressive, their story. And we spoke with them about that fight and what it means to see potentially Prop 8 leave the Constitution altogether in the future. It was 10 years ago this June that Chris Perry and Sandy Steer were finally able to get married.
See how many people just filled up the city hall somehow.
So we had lots of people at our wedding, but we didn't know most of them.
You Perry's last name from the Supreme Court case Hollingsworth v. Perry. Chris and Sandy were one of two couples who sued the state of California over Proposition 8.
So many people were devastated by the passage of Prop 8 and it was shocking. It literally, I don't think even the morning we woke up after the election, we could really believe that it had happened.
Prop 8, passed by California voters in 2008, banned same-sex marriage in the state. Chris and Sandy, who by that point had been together for years and had 4 kids, knew they wanted to do something to fight it, but weren't sure at the time exactly how.
Lucky for us that there were people thinking about how to fix it while everybody else was walking around going, oh no, this is a nightmare. And we were lucky to be contacted by them to be plaintiffs in the case.
Over the next 5 years, Chris, Sandy, and their lawyers battled it out in the courts, eventually making it all the way to the Supreme Court in 2013, where they won, and soon after, officially tied the knot.
It was a beautiful day. We had the one son with us. Everybody else was off far away, living in different cities or traveling. Chris's mother was able to come. She had been shopping nearby. And the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, fortunately, a bunch of them showed up and just serenaded us on the steps as a wonderful surprise. And it was a beautiful, if not a surprise, wedding.
Now, a decade later, Chris and Sandy are like any other couple. Their kids are grown and out of the house. They spend their weekends making tea, going to lunch, and local shows. But recently, Prop 8 has been back in the news.
The fact that this discriminatory language exists in the California Constitution, in a place like California that espouses acceptance and inclusivity, I think is something that we have to overturn.
Tony Huang with Equality California, along with several local lawmakers, are pushing for Prop 8 to be wiped from the state constitution once and for all.
In particular, advocates came together and really looked at how do we rectify this stain in the California Constitution after the Dobbs decision last year that rolled back Roe v. Wade.
Activists worry LGBTQ rights could slide backwards given the current political climate and want to make sure same-sex marriage is protected in the state moving forward. Chris and Sandy agree it's a good idea, but wish it wasn't necessary.
I want it out of the Constitution, but I don't like the idea that voters out there are looking at an issue and thinking, maybe I want to discriminate against my fellow citizens again. Maybe that's how I actually feel.
Both Sandy told me they do feel like a lot has changed for the LGBTQ community between 2008 and now. They're hopeful that if this went on the ballot, voters would choose to rescind Prop 8. And while they say they're so proud to have been a part of history in overturning the law, they'll be even more excited on the day they don't have to talk about it as much anymore.
We were just saying, if for any reason there was another trial or another case associated with Proposition 8 for whatever reason, it would be a younger person's fight. You're like, we're not doing this again. I don't think we're the people anymore.
I was gonna say it.
Yeah, we did what we could here.
A federal lawsuit is a young person's game.
Yeah, it takes really is. A lot of energy.
It's like parenting is for young people. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
And Reed, the cool thing is that a lot of that next generation that Chris and Sandy are talking about there are here at the Pride Parade. There are a ton of young activists and advocates here who are showing their pride and also looking to the future to improve things for the LGBTQ community. Reed.
All right, thank you so much. We'll join you back out on the parade route as the parade gets going. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Bringing Manny back in, you have these conversations. It's still amazing to me to know that despite all of the progress, Prop 8 is still on the books. So
honestly, I had no idea that
a
was
move
the
by
case.
the Supreme Court otherwise, and we could see it again, which is why they're making the move to protect marriage
Well,
equality.
I'm glad that they're cleaning up this language. Prop 8 has a very special, well, not so special place in my heart, but part of my story. It's what brought me to San Francisco for the first time. I was a street canvasser on the corners of San Francisco for the summer, in the summer of 2010.
Wow.
And we were raising money actually for Equality California to bring Prop 8 back on the ballot to strike it down. So it is a stain in our state's history and a very sad moment. But it's also, that fight was a fight that got a lot of young people, including myself, into the fight and aware that our rights are not to be taken for granted, that at any moment, your rights, my rights, Brianna's rights, our community's rights could be taken away. And so we have to constantly be vigilant.
And in California, which was really the flashpoint. A lot of people thought it wouldn't happen in California. Hey, we're going to continue this conversation, but want to remind you how you can be seen in the broadcast. We know you're out there. We know you're watching from all corners of planet Earth. We also are going to be talking about books banned as well. That's coming up. But just a reminder, you can share pictures of your house parties from all over the Bay and beyond. Snap a TV appropriate Pride house party pic posted on Twitter using the hashtag KPIX Hope Love Pride. You might just see yourself on TV. Take a picture of your dog on Pride Day. I'm a big dog fan. Still ahead, our stories define us, and we know that. Book bans are all over the country right now, and we're going to talk about the resistance during Pride Month to these book bans when we come back. Also, we're going to honor somebody who faced bigotry and ended up on national TV on the Ellen DeGeneres show, a former Boy Scout now placing his hands on his heart because there was survival there, the survival story. And then, of course, we're going to be back on the parade route, sending all the love San Francisco has to offer this morning to all corners of planet Earth, watching Pride 2023. Hope, love, pride when we come back.
Pride events, they're like good community and like people, it's contagious how happy people are.
Hope, love, pride. A celebration streaming on CBS News Bay Area.
Okay, so welcome back. Hope, love, pride. Manny, the parade is just getting underway. Let's go out live right now. This is how we started out. Kelsey?
Hey, Reed, yeah, that's right. As you can see and hear, the parade just kicked off here. We have Dykes on Bikes going by. They, of course, are the ones that always kick off San Francisco's Pride Parade, and you can see all the fun bicycles, you got all the fun costumes, really a great way to kick off the parade, and there are hundreds of people on their bikes coming through here. The Market Street now is lined with fans, and of course this is just the very beginning of the parade. There are going to be tons of floats and all sorts of stuff, so we're just getting the party started here, but it's nice. The sun's out, people are excited. It's a morning here in San Francisco, a beautiful morning, and people here, as you can see, very excited for the parade to start. They're already having some issues, but yeah, it's going to be great. We, of course, will keep following the parade, but for now, Reed, back to you.
All right, Kelsey, thanks. While this has been a month of celebration, there have also been some kind of ugly scenes playing out when it comes to the LGBTQ plus recognition in schools. And some of the scenes have played out in California. Look at this. Southern California, protesters came to blows at a school board meeting over state-mandated school curriculum that includes lessons about diversity and inclusion. And then in Riverside County, the Temecula Valley Unified School District banned a social studies textbook because it mentioned gay rights activist of the Bay Area's own Harvey Milk. So Governor Gavin Newsom saw this, along with the state attorney general and the state superintendent, and they sent a warning to schools this month. They said, don't ban books. They say if you do it, you're going against constitutional protections. In fact, the governor's office say almost 1,500 books were banned outside of the state of California in the fall semester alone. We always say this, Manny, our stories define us, and those stories exist in books. And it's so important, literature and representation in literature.
Absolutely. I mean, especially for young people, these are the things that can get their imagination going, that can get their curiosities, their creativity, that can teach them those early lessons about what it means to be an adult, what it means to be a good person. And so if you take our stories out of those early learnings, if you erase us, it prevents children from growing up to be the kinds of adults that we all want them to be.
Do you have a favorite Pride Month book? I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't prime you for that question.
Favorite Pride Month book? Well, I'm reading an amazing book right now called In Memoriam, and it is a gay World War I military love story. Yes.
That's heady.
It's really intense. I've been reading it at night before I go to bed. It's called In Memoriam. I haven't finished it yet, and I have a feeling it's going to have a very sad ending, so I'm kind of nervous about it. But it's great. I really like it.
So I just finished Spoiler Alert. I'm probably late to the party by Michael Asiello, Spoiler Alert, which is a book and also a movie as well. Another beautiful LGBTQ plus story. And then my friend Stephen Rowley wrote Lily and the Octopus and The Guncle.
Nice.
So,
actually, I'm sorry. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. It's a book that'll shatter your heart and change your life.
On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous.
By the poet and incredible novelist Ocean Vuong, who's a Vietnamese American young man, and it's a love letter and a story that he tells to his mother, who actually doesn't know any English. And so he's telling her his story. She's an immigrant from Vietnam, knowing that she'll never be able to read it. And so he's able to bare his soul and be honest and truthful in a way that he wouldn't be able to be if he were to speak to her in their native tongue.
Something I always say when I speak around the country, every life has a story, every story has a lesson, and every lesson has the power to change the world. If you're a young person watching today, really, write your story down. Maybe just write the first line of it. You don't have to write a perfect novel or a perfect memoir, a perfect book right off the top. Just start. One word down on paper might change the world. You just never know.
Yeah, you're so poetic.
Oh.
You have such a way with words, mister.
Well, I'm trying.
You need to write your own story.
I want you to write your book as well.
Okay, we'll both write our books.
Okay,
How about that?
We'll do it. I'll buy yours, you buy mine.
Okay.
Hey, I said it earlier, and this story really is proof that the Bay Area often finds a way to be the counterpoint to these national narratives. Case in point, two educators who did what you do at Manny's, right? They created a safe space for families to find LGBTQ plus children's stories. And as Leslie Gooden is about to show you, they decided to take these books on the road just to make sure in your neighborhood that they're accessible.
It's 7 a.m. and while some use this day to rest, two educators are behind the wheel of a school bus that transforms into a children's bookstore full of LGBTQ plus stories and authors.
There is so much negative press around trans children and LGBTQ plus youth in the country, and all of the book bans that were happening and all the laws that were being passed. And so it felt really important to create a space where the primary focus was joy.
Thus, the Lavender Bus was born, better known as the Out and About Bookshop, created by Katie Butler and Charlie McDonald.
We painted the inside, we built these shelves.
The duo says their bookstore was made possible thanks to the LC and Lily Cox Haven of Hope's fiscal sponsorship program in Oakland, which is a nonprofit that supports emerging social enterprise leaders and their community.
That supports our community programming. And so at the story times we're doing today, for instance, or bringing books to classrooms or taking the bus to different schools, book clubs as well, all that's sort of supported through that.
Charlie says starting the bookstore journey revealed a piece about them that many kids who walk onto the bus often face.
I grew up, I didn't really enjoy reading. I didn't read a lot. And it wasn't until Katie gave me a book about a character who is non-binary, and I identify as non-binary, and there were so many parallels to the character in the story to my life, and I read it in one sitting and I fell in love with it, and then I was like, okay, I want more. And so she just kept handing me books, and I now really enjoy reading.
Although this bookshop is a place of connecting, it does not publicly share its pop-up locations online due to looming safety concerns.
Unfortunately, given the climate we're in, with some of the things that have happened in drag queen story hours and just the conversations in our country that are really harmful around LGBTQ plus youth, we don't want to put any of our readers or anyone who's coming to the bus in a place where they feel unsafe. And as two queer individuals ourselves, we also want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves.
With just a few months under their wheels, it's moments with kids like Chris, who hasn't put this book down, make it all worth it.
Because I had this book at school, but I don't have this book. It's interesting because they make believe and have interesting costumes.
You know, I've talked to so many kids who say, this is the first time I cracked a book and I actually saw my story reflected in a book. It's so important. And that's really what your conversation is, Annie's, having people come in under one roof and seeing themselves in the conversation.
Yeah, it's about connecting politics to people and taking all the different folks that make policy, make change, who are trying to make the world a better place. Sometimes it can feel like those folks are way up here. You'll never be able to know
Not
them.
accessible.
Exactly. Things like bringing the First Lady of the United States of America to a coffee shop in the Mission District in San Francisco to meet the people. That's what it's all about.
Coalition building and letting people know they're not alone from the top down. And you know, Harvey Milk taught us all about that. And somebody who took Harvey's story to the world is my longtime friend. I think he's streaming live right now, watching us. Oscar-winning screenwriter, documentarian, director, memoirist. What else, Lance? What else are you? What are you going to be next year? Dustin Lance Black. Here's what he had to say about the power of coalition building in the face of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation.
We are next. It is here. So please follow the example of Harvey Milk, who understood that we have to be there for our brothers and our sisters in other communities that are not being treated justly. We have to lock arms. That is the coalition of the us's that Harvey and his friends and his co-workers were able to create and to win, even at the ballot box, in a far more homophobic time. It's those coalitions.
My name is Harvey Milk, and I'm here to recruit you.
And look at this. Here's the result all of those years later. You see down on the parade route people locking arms, shoulders. Matter, Manny, right? You know Harvey Milk said, I'm here to recruit you. And look, it's still happening. The recruitment day. Pretty touching to see that on the parade route.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And I know some of those folks, and they are powerful activists.
Why is it important to link arms and to march side by side and to have that community of activism?
Well, for one, I mean, the fight's not over. We have to fight right now, and all of us do. And second of all, we are such a diverse community. We have folks from all over the world, from all different kinds of religions. What connects us is this common identity of being LGBTQ. And so it would be very easy for our community to fracture and split apart and be divided because there are so many different kinds of folks that inhabit our community. And so it's really important that we physically remember, by actually holding each other together, that we are one community and that we have to fight together as one.
And you know, somebody who said it best about hope recently, and we have Manny to thank for this. I'm so glad I answered your email this day. Jane Fonda, iconic Oscar-winning actress and activist at the Castro Theater. Here's what she told me and Manny. In this climate, how do we have hope?
Oh, to have hope is a muscle. It's very different than optimism. Hope, you gotta look for action and hope will come.
Look for action and hope will come. That really is it, right? Getting involved.
And coming from the words of a true hero and someone who has believed in hope for so long. I mean, Jane, I asked her on stage what keeps her going. I mean, she's 86 years old and she is still waking up every morning and fighting. And she said, we have no choice.
Fire Drill Friday.
Exactly.
Still does it every
Still does
Friday.
It, yeah. If you're getting tired and you're thinking, I can't do this anymore, and it's too hard, think of Jane Fonda waking up in the morning and keep doing what she does.
You know who I also think of? I think of Manny 15, 20 years ago. I think of me 15, 20 years ago. I think of Brianna Sinclair, who's going to join us a little bit coming up in the broadcast, also 15 years ago, meeting our truths and finding our way to have our truths in the world in a way that can be meaningful and safe and impactful.
And we also need to remember that celebration is also a form of protest. That getting out there in the streets and dancing and holding hands with your lover and just being public and being queer and happy and loving life, that joy, that celebration, it emanates and it shows the world that you can do whatever you want, but we're here and we're having fun.
I have a guiding belief that there's light inside each human being. And when we see light, we want to go towards light. And so when we see what's going on out at the parade route, when you see these stories, what you're seeing, what you're feeling out there, whether you're watching on television or streaming somewhere on planet Earth right now, you're seeing and you're feeling light. And it's so wonderful to have you join around this light with us. Manny, thank you for being a light on set. I told you this hour would go fast, my friend.
My pleasure. This has been awesome. I'm going to go to the parade. I'm going to go out there and try to start marching. Happy Pride to you and to all of your viewers. Happy Pride to everyone, and thank you so much for celebrating our community today. and every day.
Nice. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll be doing more good work together.
All right, sounds good.
Take care. All right, still ahead, my co-host for our second hour. She's right over there, Brianna Sinclair, a local trans opera star, joining me. And then after the break, another special guest, a former Boy Scout who was once denied his Eagle Scout for being gay, how that experience shaped their life. Then a reminder how you can be seen in this broadcast. We know a lot of you are hosting those house parties all over the Bay. Snap a picture from your Pride house party and post it on Twitter. Use this hashtag so we can find you, KPIX, Hope, Love, Pride. You just might see yourself on TV. We're back after the break.
Hope, Love, Pride. Proudly presented by Pet Food Express and Broadway San Jose.
Welcome back to Hope, Love, and Pride on CBS Bay Area, your legacy community station, celebrating more than 7 decades in television and a legacy. LGBTQ plus stories from activism, surviving the HIV/AIDS crisis, to all the wins along the way. You know, the Pride flag is a symbol of all of the achievements and all of the people whose lives depend on allies to get on board. The rainbow flag is flying high all over the Bay, including the San Francisco County Jail in San Bruno. This is the 3rd year the Sheriff's Department there raised the flag. Then in San Jose, the police department marked its 5th annual Pride flag-raising ceremony. SJPD was the first major department around the country to start this tradition. One sergeant said this gesture to her represents acceptance by her employer and then extending to that by her community. And in her career, it hasn't always been that easy. Listen.
My career actually in uniform started in the United States Navy in 1990. During that time, they asked you if you were homosexual. And it was a disqualifying event if you were. If you were not out yet and came out while you were serving, you had to lie and had to hide. I was personally targeted, got out, and investigated for being a lesbian. I survived the awful gay ban of the 1990s, and then don't ask, don't tell. During my 30-year career in the Navy, I spent 21 of those years having to be inauthentic. I could not talk about my life, I couldn't talk about my partner, my family, or anything about who I really was.
Sergeant Tina, we see and celebrate you. We love you. Thank you so much for your service and your truth. We, of course, know that Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been repealed. And when President Biden took office, he reversed former President Donald Trump's ban on transgender service members. But even so, some top leaders at the Pentagon say the growing number of anti-LGBTQ plus laws may be threatening service members and their families. Here's how. They brought up a 2020 poll showing that 20% of people between the ages of 17 and 23, which is a key demographic for military recruiting, 20% identify as LGBTQ+. And they said without proper protections, the military could alienate potential recruits, people who want to serve our country. Well, let's talk about this story. More than 10 years ago, a Moraga teen who wore a Boy Scouts uniform made national headlines, denied an Eagle Scout over sexuality. Sharon Chin shows you where Rye Andreasen is today.
Rye Andreasen looks back in the rearview mirror of life on a painful journey.
Gosh, it's so emotional because that was such a different place I was in back then.
Ryan Andreasen made nationwide headlines in 2012. Despite nearly 500,000 petition signatures, the Moraga 17-year-old was denied the Boy Scouts' highest honor because he was gay.
Getting my Eagle Award taken is totally devastating. Hearing that it's happening to other Scouts is also totally devastating.
More than a decade later, Ryan, now known as Rye, returned to the Eagle Scout Project.
Well, first of all, it's amazing that it's still standing here.
A wall of tolerance the teen created with friends at Joaquin Moraga Intermediate School.
That was a really hard time. So to have a wall like this up on the school where so much harassment had happened, I mean, I got beat up in that bathroom right there, and it's just, now this is here for them all to see. That is absolutely amazing.
Today, the printing is faded, the words are not.
Be the change that you want to see, you know, peace, respect, be true to you.
Messages Rye wished Ryan the teenager could have heard more in school and Scouts.
It really just kind of solidified the way that I felt as a lower class member of society that didn't deserve the same as others deserved. They did probably my favorite article out of all of them.
And the media spotlight didn't make it easier.
To go onto the national platform the way I did so early, I certainly also received a lot of hate in addition to all the praise I was receiving. This is my uniform.
But today, Rye shares the experience produces resilience. The San Francisco resident is more confident, embracing they and them pronouns and wearing nail polish and earrings as they reminisce with their sister Alyssa, one of their main pillars of strength.
Really talking with people that believed in me and strengthening those connections really helped me find the power in myself to be myself.
Rye marvels at the recognition assembly back then.
And then, oh my gosh, I also have this.
But there's one memento Rye still keeps on their desk.
This was on my dressing room at the Ellen show.
It's an empowering reminder of Rye's contribution that helped overturn the gay ban in scouting.
It's easy to look back and remember how insecure and how sad I was, but it had an impact, and I never would have expected anyone to listen to someone like me, but they did.
Now Rye encourages young people who feel different and alone.
So just hang in there, because really you are so beautiful for all of your imperfections.
Rye hopes sharing their story can help others steer confidently into their own future, strengthened by the pain of the past.
And guess what? Rye is here right now. It's gotta be surreal. You're behind you, you see your story, and now 10 years. How has life treated you in the last 10 years, my friend?
Oh gosh, things have changed so much in my life. Back when the Eagle Project was going on, and the few years before that, we talked earlier in the show today about Proposition 8, about DOMA. These things were all going on when I was just figuring out my identity.
You were a kid watching them play out on the headlines.
I was. There were signs on my family's Proposition 8. It was all over the neighborhood, and my very identity was just being questioned politically by everyone. And I was so insecure and scared, and really didn't think that anyone would listen to me. And when that petition went so viral so quickly, and I got so much attention and so much love, it really changed the way that I viewed myself, and how much growth I've had today is just, it feels so special, and I'm so happy to be in a place like San Francisco.
Are you saying that allies can save lives? Like when there's opposition and an ally says, no, wait a minute, I'm going to be one who's going to stand up and I'm going to advocate for somebody else. Are you saying that can be life-saving?
Oh, definitely. I think the allies in my life, especially as a child, were few and far between, but they made such a big difference in my life. There were a few teachers in middle school that had taken me behind their wing, knowing that I was a weird, introverted kid that I...
Translation, beautiful, perfect.
Non-binary. People like that, they really had saved my life. I don't think I would be here talking today if it weren't for them.
I love that. So for teachers out there who have a young one in the classroom, and your intuition says this one needs a little extra love, what do you say to those teachers?
Oh, keep doing what you're doing. I couldn't tell those teachers at the time how much they meant to me. And if they're watching today, you mean so much to me, and I owe the world to you. I really hope that they keep advocating for the kids that are bullied and that are misfits and that don't feel like they belong, because they really need you.
Out there, and I don't know all of the words, but if you Google it, it might be meaningful as we have this conversation. Just Google the words, "Here's to the kids who are different." That poem saved my life when I was a kid, and a teacher gave me that poem. I also know the story of Utah, an art teacher, Christy King, who saved my husband's life just by being loved, just by saying, I'm going to close, just let you draw. I'm just going to let you create in my space that doesn't feel safe. Why do we need to now pass that forward now that we're all grown up? I'm a little older than you, but now that we're grown up, why pass it forward and keep it going?
Yeah, well, it always feels like, there's been progress over time, and of course some of that's being rolled back right now, but overall, things have been improving for us, but there's always going to be kids that are picked on and bullied and not fitting in, or not having friends, or feeling like an outsider like I did. And as a kid, you take that really personally, and it's not really until you grow up and find confidence in yourself and find your own people that you're really able to embrace that and make that your own and feel proud of yourself. So to have people telling you that it's okay early on is really, really important.
Your sister's name? Tell me your sister's name.
My sister's Alyssa. I have two sisters. The other one is Grace.
Alyssa and Grace.
And Alyssa was on the segment with me because Alyssa lives here in California. Mm-hmm. And they've always been some of my biggest supporters.
It's what I think a lot of people don't understand. For the gay child or the child who's non-binary, trans, anyone on that spectrum, you often feel like in a family that you're on the outside looking in. You're watching everybody else have that experience, and you don't feel like you're a part of that experience, despite the best efforts of families to draw circles of love around their kids. How do families bridge that gap so that the child that feels like the other doesn't feel like the other? How has your sister done it?
Gosh, that's a challenging question. I think my sister and I were only 2 years apart, and she was younger than me, and we grew up very close together. And so I think she just knew me and understood me in such a way that there was no identity that I could have, no harmless identity that she would ever not be okay with. So she just loved me unconditionally from the beginning.
I always tell my kids, I will never not love you. And that's so important, right? I will never not love you. I'm so proud. 10 years later, still leading the way. All right, so let's go out live right now and show you the love down on the street level. Still ahead, my co-host for the second hour of Hope, Love, and Pride, Brianna Sinclair, who recently was brave, sang the national anthem at Oracle Park. And the story of another trans trailblazer making headlines in the Miss San Francisco pageant. Hey, here's another way that you can celebrate Pride. Look at this colorful display of flowers. Check it out. It is at the San Francisco Mint. You're watching Hope, Love, Pride. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Our stories define us, and those stories are made up of your voices. Here's a look at what's ahead this hour.
When I sing, I always acknowledge my trans ancestors because they give me life.
Number 4, Monroe Lane.
Every time I put on the sash, the weight of it reminds me of the weight of my job, of the responsibility that I have to make a difference for young children.
To wear clothing that doesn't fit is a kind of synecdoche for the kind of metaphysical just not fitting in, period.
Just the way it fits me, it kind of makes me into like the boxier shape that I like.
The clothing is achieving the silhouette that aligns with the person's sense of gender identity and presentation.
People want to be seen, people want to be valued for exactly who they are.
Hope, Love, Pride. Proudly presented by Pet Food Express and Broadway's San Jose.
Just want to underline what you just heard. Did you hear that? People want to be valued and seen for exactly who and what they are. We're doing that for you today. Welcome back. Much love to you on Pride Sunday. I'm Reed Cowan. It's the message in the studio and the message on the Pride Parade route, seen and heard for who and what you are. Let's go back out live to Kelsey Thorud with more Hope, Love, and Pride. Hello, my friend.
Hey, Reed, the party is very much underway right now. We have all sorts of people going by in the parade. We actually just saw a bunch of cheerleaders going by earlier. There's all ages of people out here, and that is one of the important aspects of Pride, right? It is families coming out here, parents and kids coming out here. And there's been a lot of discussion lately about what's been going on with LGBTQ issues in schools. And we actually met Susan here. Susan, you said you're from Alameda County and you have a high schooler?
That's correct.
So what has it been like for your family over this last year with all of the discussion going on regarding LGBTQ issues in schools?
I think we're fortunate to live where we do because I feel like my daughter's safe in her school and her friends are safe. I feel very sorry for youth in other communities, other states who aren't allowed to be who they are. I think it's really tragic, and I think we should support them.
What do you think events like this and just having the parade, having people of all ages in the parade can do to kind of help with students and families who are dealing with some of these issues?
I think it's great for youth to see people like them out in the public, and it just helps them know they're not alone and that there are people there for them.
Thank you so much, Susan. I'm glad you're having fun. And you know, Reed, we met people like Susan out here all morning long. There are families, students, kids out here on their own, just everybody out here having a great time, clearly expressing themselves. And that's really, of course, what this parade is all about, Reed.
Hope, love, and pride. And to our viewer, Sean, who asked me where I got my shirt, I got it off of Amazon. I'm not very fancy. Kelsey, thank you so much. Hey, and you're about to meet my co-host for this next hour, somebody who took the desire to be seen and heard to the field at Oracle Park. Bay Area trans opera star and my new friend, Brianna Sinclair.
Welcome to Oracle Park, the home of your San Francisco Giants.
If you play this moment back, you see Bay Area trans opera star Brianna Sinclair in a private moment. She has to take a breath to steady herself. As a singer, performing the national anthem is tough, but tougher still at a sporting event during a time when people like her are a political target. That's why what happened 2 hours before walking onto the field was important. Brianna enters the Castro Theater to warm up and get in touch with the energy of those who came before.
I always say the music always guided me to who I am today. And so when I sing, I always acknowledge my trans ancestors because they give me life.
Life and the living of it, like anyone else, she says, is all people on the margins want. People of color and trans people.
We are still dealing with, racism and transphobia and stuff like that, and we're still working on being united.
Brianna tells me just 2 years ago, she was homeless. And like other trans people who studies reveal struggle with job and housing insecurity, she too found the journey tough. It's why getting her footing at home in the Castro was important before crossing from one world to another. The drive to Oracle Park, game day.
I can say that singing the anthem in a sporting event is very nerve-wracking for me.
Will the crowd welcome her? Will they see her as worthy of claiming the promises of the free and brave land, as the lyrics to the song say? They're questions that elevate the nerves.
Please welcome transgender operatic soprano, Brianna Sinclair.
This brave beginning was Brianna's moment to learn the answers to the questions.
When I sing, I just want us to all feel united, all judgment aside, and just be who you are, be authentic.
Brianna Sinclair says her voice makes her a vessel. Who is in the crowd hearing it? Who in the crowd maybe sees her for the first time while listening? But she knows people can change and says there's hope.
There is hope for the trans and gender nonconforming community. I think we're just at a very difficult time, but I do believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is only one way, and that is up. We're going to survive this. We are going to get through this.
Getting through until the message in the anthem applies to all. Joining me now live, my new friend. Let me take your hand, sweet friend. Brianna Sinclair. I was off to the side. I got a little teary when you hit those high notes. Yes. When we walked in, you were nervous. When we walked off, you had a big smile. What was it like to perform there in an athletic arena, not knowing if people were going to be accepting? You were brave. What was that like?
I think singing in a field that's bigger than you, it's larger than life.
Right.
I was really nervous, but I always realized as a singer that I not only sing for the people, but I also sing for the community.
Right.
And that is so important to, just give yourself in gratitude and just allow people to hear the music and be blessed by it.
Be blessed by the music. I love that. I heard Liza Minnelli recently say on social media, I'm not singing to a crowd, I'm singing to you. And I felt that you were doing that. I thought it was so beautiful. How important is it that people are seen and celebrated and heard, especially during hard times, Brianna?
You know what? We are going through a really difficult time. I think it's so important that, like you said, our voices need to be heard, our stories need to be seen, you know, especially for trans LGBTQIA kids. Like, they need to see trans leaders and gender nonconforming leaders just, doing their activist work and showing the world that, we are human beings and we can achieve anything. And I want people to feel that, that especially within my community and the trans community, that we can be doctors and lawyers, a pharmacist, and I think right now, because of all the stigma that's on us, it's making it really hard for us, and it's a struggle. So
one of my favorite memories from my childhood, I was climbing a ladder. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I was scared to climb that ladder up to the rooftop where my dad was putting the roof on our house. I'll never forget his hand on me saying, "I got you. I got you." And I had the confidence to take those next steps to ascend to a new height. It's so important from the top down that people hear that and feel that, "I got you." And allies exist. They do exist at the top levels of our business community and our government. In fact, listen here, Brianna. Here is a message from the President of the United States, Joe Biden, saying, "I got you."
I want to send a message to the entire community, especially to transgender children. You are loved. You are heard. You are understood. And you belong.
So this year, President Biden hosted the largest celebration in White House history, and often the United States leads the way, joined by other leaders in other countries. So let's expand our view. Feel the love. Worldwide love. This is how Pride is celebrated around the world. Lots of dancing on the streets of Tel Aviv during Israel's annual Pride festivities. Then in Rome, Italy, tens of thousands took part in this parade. It passed in front of the world's most iconic landmarks, of course, the ancient Colosseum. Brazil, no stranger to Pride celebrations. The streets packed for Sao Paulo's 27th annual Pride Parade. The mood's celebratory. Rainbow flags, colorful outfits, and lots of joy and love. And Brianna, we literally are a worldwide community. We were, getting ready for this, and I said, I want us to think while we're here that we're not only talking to the people in the Bay Area, but that there's probably some kid streaming somewhere in rural America right now who needs that hope, needs that love, needs that pride. What do you say to the child who is confronting gender identity right now in the world? Where's the hope?
I think the hope is to keep going. I think sometimes it's a hard path, but I do always say that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And when you keep going and be persistent, you will get to where you need to be. And it's not easy. And so I am just, just grateful, through my journey. The struggle was hard, but I am who I am today because of that struggle. And that struggle makes us all stronger, and it builds character and perseverance. And my mother used to always say there's power in numbers. And, community is a form of activism because we are all together and we are coming together, different shades of color, everything. And it's really important that we all work together as a community and not be separate.
When I see my kids wake up in the morning, I think, I'm so glad I chose to live. Do you ever feel that? I'm glad I chose to live?
Yes. When I started my transition, I wanted to commit suicide a lot of times.
And we know the numbers are astoundingly high.
Yes, and it's terrible. It's just because the world does not want to see the community succeed. They continually want to push us to the ground. And that can be a heavy burden, to carry. And so I don't want people to feel alone, especially within the trans and GNC community. We should not allow that burden to stop us from being our authentic self, And it's a powerful thing when you're in your authentic self.
It is. You're locking into something that's bigger than all of us. And to the young person out there who might be watching right now, I just want to tell you, keep going, like Brianna says. We need you on this planet. Your life matters. Choose another day, because it just might lead to a celebratory day like this. In fact, I promise it will. And you know, as we look at Pride celebrations in all lands, be they kings or queens and crowns, presidents, we're mindful of our local queen and the crown she took by living her authentic truth. Here's Liz Cook and her story about Miss San Francisco Monroe Lace.
Number 4, Monroe Lace.
It's a moment Monroe Lace will never forget. Earlier this year, she was crowned Miss San Francisco.
It felt like a dream because it's been a dream that I've had for years, since I was a child.
But she didn't just win the title.
Though I'm Miss San Francisco, I know that my impact is much greater than that.
Monroe is the first transgender winner in the pageant's 99-year history. The crown and sash are more than just accessories.
Every time I put on the sash, the weight of it reminds me of the weight of my job, of the responsibility that I have to make a difference for young children.
As part of her Miss San Francisco duties, Monroe visits a different elementary school in the city almost every day.
Hi, everyone.
Today, she's reading a book called Sparkle Boy to the 4th grade class at Tenderloin Community School.
Mama went upstairs.
It wasn't that long ago that Monroe wasn't sure if her own story would have a happy ending.
So 4 years ago, I ran away from home. And in the middle of the night, I packed everything in a single suitcase because I'd rather be loved and homeless than be in a home that didn't love me.
Monroe has lived in this SRO, or single room occupancy, for the past 4 years, the longest of all the other tenants. This beauty queen has seen firsthand the ugliest sides of the city.
One of my neighbors overdosed a few months ago, and I think to me that really shows how important public safety is in the city, and that's what my platform is. My story isn't unique. That's the unfortunate truth. There are so many other transgender women who have the same experiences I do, and they are not as lucky.
Those experiences helped prepare her for what came after she won the title.
I've gotten death threats. I've gotten really just mean comments about my appearance or the way that I look. Even though there are hateful comments that say those things, I also know that there is a trans kid out there or a victim out there who is reading that story as well, and maybe not commenting, but are reading it and saying, I'm going to be okay. And that's what I'm reminded about.
Later this summer, she will compete for Miss California. But in the eyes of 4th grader Camila Soberanis, she's already won.
It was beautiful because I didn't care if she was like a boy or a girl who came in my class. And it was just like normal.
Proving that some victories are more valuable than a crown.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot. I forgot that I have my crown on my head.
Brianna, you make this look easy. Monroe makes living out as a trans woman look easy, but we know it's not. You shared with me that part of your journey years ago was that you were also homeless, and that is a reality. Our trans brothers and sisters have difficulty with jobs, having a place to live. Where is the hope in the face of those realities?
Yeah, it's very troubling to know that, like, especially within our trans and gender nonconforming community, you know, there's this consistent theme of us being homeless, not getting employment, and that has to stop because, like I said, we are human beings and we deserve to be treated as human and not as, we should not be discarded. You know, I think it's so important that our humanity is noticed first because, you know, if someone is homeless or on the street or fighting for their lives or a victim, you know, we need to feel loved and we need to feel cherished and I just want humanity to realize that trans and gender nonconforming people, we are all human beings, just like you are, trying to live our daily lives the best way we know how.
So many people know what it feels like to cradle their newborn in their arms, to look at that newborn and see wonder and beauty and the life in your arms. And to those people who are still trying to understand what it is to be trans or gender non-conforming, I would ask you to go back to that feeling when you held a newborn in your arms and the wonder and the love, just unconditional love you felt for that child, and hold our trans community with that same love, wonder. Because when you get to know our trans community, they're beautiful. Brianna, I remember when I interviewed you, I asked you the question, when did you know for the first time you were beautiful? That question took you back. I wasn't just talking about how beautiful you are in the world, but also internally as well. When did you know you were beautiful?
Yeah, I mean, like, since I was a kid, you know, when I was 5, that's when I knew that I was trans. And actually, the funny part is, you know, since The Little Mermaid is out.
Just saw it last weekend.
I was obsessed. I don't know what it is with Ariel and The Little Mermaid. But I used to always pretend like I was Ariel. I remember, you know, taking my mother's forks and combing my curly hair. My little curly fro as a kid, thinking that.
Did you have a dingle hopper?
But I think the significance of The Little Mermaid is that, you know, she wanted to have feet. She wanted to be human. She wanted to see that world, and I think that's why myself and many, you know, folks relate to The Little Mermaid, because it's about feeling belonged.
Part of the world.
Yes, being a part of that world. But then at the same time, it's about loving who you are and loving every stage that you're going through in life. You know, my struggle when I was homeless in 2010, when I was in New York City, it was difficult. But I think I knew that I just, something deep inside of me knew that things were going to get better. But it was a difficult moment, and I'm glad that I had that moment, because it made me who I am today.
And you found your voice. You found your voice. So a reminder to all of you at home that are having your house party, snap a Pride house party pic, post it on Twitter using the hashtag KPIX Hope, Love, and Pride. You just might see yourself not only in this broadcast, but in other broadcasts to come. Hey, later, we know Pride in the Bay isn't just in San Francisco. Still ahead, we see you across the bridge in Oakland. Hope, love, and pride there. This is a Bay Area celebration, and we're going to make sure you're seen and celebrated.
Hope, love, pride. Proudly presented by Pet Food Express and Broadway San Jose.
Happy Pride Sunday, my friends. Live picture there on the parade route, where we know here at CBS Bay Area as your community station, it is about the parade, but it's also about the people in the parade. And you know, it's been a month of celebrations. In fact, in Oakland, city leaders held a ceremony to raise the Pride flag on top of City Hall. There it is. And there in Oakland, with the cheers right there, the flag is visible from miles around. You know, the Bay Area and San Francisco has been the epicenter of Pride celebrations, but don't count out the town. Our Itai Hod brings you the story of Oakland's booming gay nightclub scene.
Less than a month since the opening of their new bar, Fluid 510, Sean Sullivan and his business and life partner, Richard Fuentes, are already swamped with a rush of customers, an eclectic mix of people, many of them LGBTQ.
We stand for gay, for straight, for everyone in the community.
With 2 bars and a dance floor, this 5,000 square foot venue could easily rival some of the most iconic hotspots in San Francisco. But this place is nowhere near the Castro. It's way across the bay in Oakland.
Planting the seeds and taking the baby steps to start foot traffic for all of downtown Oakland.
For years, Oaklanders looking for a fun gay night on the town had to either cross the bridge or hop on BART. No matter how hard it tried, the city known as the sunny side of the bay has always lived in the shadow of its neighboring gay mecca. But that might be changing. Peter Gamez is the president of Visit Oakland. He says as LGBTQ acceptance increases and remote working grows, so is the need for local gay bars and restaurants.
There's definitely a renaissance going on. You can see it by the amount of new bars and businesses. I believe that in the LGBT community, there's going to be up to 7 new businesses on one street alone.
According to George Smith, the vice president of Oakland Pride, there's a reason for that. He says unlike San Francisco, his city's LGBTQ community is a lot more diverse.
It's very important that we have a hometown watering spot, and a place to dance and have fun.
A 2020 survey by the Bay Area Queer Nightlife Coalition found that African Americans, women, and transgender people said they didn't feel safe or included in most of San Francisco's nightlife spaces. It's one of the reasons Jalen Wesley says he prefers going out in Oakland.
We're more in the center, and that's something that's unique, something I don't always feel in San Francisco.
And it's not just gay bars that are experiencing a boom lately. According to Visit Oakland, the city has seen a double-digit increase in tourism spending for the second year in a row. Sean and Richard say they're optimistic.
We want to offer a different experience, and an experience where you could create memories with your friends and your family.
Now they're hoping to find that proverbial pot of gold. This one might just be at the end of Oakland's rainbow.
All right, thank you so much, Itai Had. Yeah, we know that the conversation is down here on the parade route, but also we see you in Oakland, we see you in all parts of the Bay. That statistic struck me that so many people who are LGBTQ+, who are gender nonconforming, don't feel safe in San Francisco's nightlife scene. That should be instructive to bar owners.
Yeah, I think especially with the series of murders within our trans women of color and trans Black women,
right?
Especially as a Black trans woman, I do get very anxious going to places because, we are being kind of ostracized just by living. And so, especially within the LGBTQIA community, we can be divided and we are divided and we need to come together. And I think, like I always say, it's the power of numbers. And if we all come together in unity, we can change this world upside down. There is just, this hierarchy of, Black trans women were put at the bottom, and that we have to stay at the bottom. And so we literally have to, claw our way to the top, and that shouldn't be. And it's exhausting. And so especially as a opera singer, maneuvering in a classical field where I know most companies would not want me because, I'm trans, and also there is a lot of racial divide, racism within the classical community that, I think they're still a bit behind and they're working towards diversity. But when it comes to diversity and feeling wanted, it's more than just the words. It's more than just...
It's the action.
Yes, it's the action.
It's the you're hired.
Exactly,
It's
yes.
the you're hired, yep. All right, so let's talk about this. Oakland is planting its pride flag there, likely always mindful of those who planted it in the Castro, not far from the crown jewel of the LGBTQ gayborhood, as we call it, the Castro. Part of its charm are those red velvet seats, but just recently, the city decided to allow the owners to rip those seats out as the theater undergoes renovation. And that's where I met my co-host, Brianna Sinclair, first. Brianna changes at the theater. You're probably hearing some people sound. What are your thoughts? Do you want to share it? Because it's a hot button issue.
I think...
I put you in the hot seat. How about this? What do you feel when you go to the Castro Theater, just speaking to legacy?
I think the legacy of the Castro Theater is, it's beautiful, but also I want to feel included. And I think that's a hard thing. Black trans women of color, Black gender nonconforming folks, they want to feel involved and wanted. And so I just hope for the future development of the Castro that we are included in this movement,
So book Brianna at the Castro. Hey, we got to move forward in this broadcast, but our team will continue following the developments at the Castro Theater. We know it's a hot button personal issue, but we'll continue following it. Still had people giving hope, love, and pride to our trans community by making sure clothing matches identity. Something maybe you at home had never had to think about, but it's real. How a trans athlete also finds spaces in roller derby with so many other LGBTQ+ athletes, and you're that they have a place to play in the future. Parties, just a reminder, you can post yours. Look at this, TV Appropriate House Pride picture right there. You can do this as well. Hashtag KPIX, Hope, Love, Pride. Just like Johnny Scruff, who has a house party. Johnny, take it away.
One of America's formerly great parties
seems to compete with each other about how much they can dehumanize and put young people at risk. We all need to stand up, speak out against that hate, and we need to pass legislation to protect the LGBTQ community. And I'm so proud to be here where people are welcomed and there's pride, and to ride with the greatest speaker of all time.
To do if you were in the Senate?
I want to be a champion for the whole state and make sure that we protect the LGBTQ community here, that California remains a welcoming, loving place for people to be their authentic selves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope, love, pride. A celebration. Streaming on CBS News Bay Area.
Hi, I'm Johnny Scruff, co-founder of the Scruff app, and I'm here to wish you a happy Pride Month because this is the time to celebrate friendships, love, and of course, meaningful connections. So here's to wishing you a happy Pride. You're watching CBS Bay Area.
Thanks, Johnny from Las Vegas. Welcome back to Emmy-nominated Hope, Love, Pride on CBS. We had an Emmy nomination for last year's show. I'll see you at the Emmys, Brianna.
Yes.
We are your community station where we know our stories define us, and we're doing Pride by telling your stories as the parade plays out behind us downtown. Let's pop down there right now, live, where Kelsey Thorud has a front and center report from the celebration. All right, so she's busy right now, so I'm going to take charge. And Brianna, feel free to jump in here. It looks like Senator Scott Wiener has a few friends down there marching the parade route. And right before we went to break, Kelsey got us a quick interview with a couple of lawmakers, of course, the iconic Nancy Pelosi, joined by Adam Schiff. And right up there is Senator Scott Wiener. Senator Wiener's been up in our state capitol working on legislation, many pieces of legislation. One piece, of course, much talked about making sure that kids who are on the spectrum of trans, gender nonconforming, non-binary, LGBTQ plus kids go to homes, foster homes that are supportive and loving. How important is it that our lawmakers are mindful of our struggle, Brianna?
You know, I just, with this whole legislation going on attacking, trans and gender nonconforming kids and, getting the care that they need, we should be in charge of our bodies and what we want for ourselves. And so it's just kind of sad that, legislation, is trying to control our bodies and what we do and the decisions that we make.
So let's talk about that. Physicality is so important to be mindful of, and when a person transitions, clothing is so important to the conversation. Someone who saw the need is someone we celebrate today on Hope, Love, Pride Sunday. Here's Liz Cook with a profile on a person who wants our trans citizens to not only be who they are on the inside, but have clothing that tells their story, reflects their truth on the outside. Watch.
Step inside Ami Nashimoto's world, and this is what you will hear.
It's kind of how I have learned to express myself. Music allows you to express what words can't.
From an early age, Ami knew they didn't always fit into a box. Ironically, it took a global pandemic and seeing themselves on Zoom with the pronouns she, they every day for Ami to truly embrace their identity.
It really solidified that, that really is me and I really am non-binary. I started telling people this is who I am, and I more forwardly looked for clothes that fit me.
But shopping for clothes wasn't always something Ami looked forward to.
Yeah, I think people who are non-binary or want something in between are kind of left behind. Something that actually can fit your physical body that maybe you were born with, but that can actually project what you want.
Then Ami found something different, a sweater that made them feel seen.
It looks really simple, which I actually like that. But just the way it fits me, it kind of makes me into the boxier shape that I like. And miraculously, the sleeves are not too long for me.
That sweater came from the mind of Finnegan Shepherd.
To wear clothing that doesn't fit is a kind of synecdoche for the kind of almost metaphysical just not fitting in, period.
Finnegan started Both And, a clothing company specifically designed for trans men and people who identify as non-binary, after he went through his own transitional surgery.
And so I was thinking about, I'm going to be able to go to a public pool and swim topless soon or sometime, and that's going to be so amazing. But even though I can be topless, I've never had swim trunks that fit me, but I'm sure somebody will have solved this problem by now.
Turns out nobody had. So Finnegan did something about it. With just $5,000, Finnegan and his business partner set out to make a collection of simple foundational clothing that is anything but basic. The t-shirts are cut to create a broader shoulder and boxier fit, the pants designed to conceal the curve of the hips. All the models are trans or non-binary.
The whole point, to a certain degree, is a kind of invisibility, that the clothing is achieving the silhouette that aligns with the person's sense of gender identity and presentation, and that it's effortless and that it's comfortable and it allows them to walk through the world without yet another point of friction, which is just so endemic to the trans experience.
People want to be seen, people want to be valued for exactly who they are, to not have to pretend to be something else, to not have to wear a mask.
Proving that fashion isn't always about getting noticed for what's on the outside. It's giving people a window into who you are on the inside.
And making music while you do it. Kind of like the music theme here. Brianna, it really, I think, is important that we look at the needs for clothing for our trans brothers and sisters through the lens of humanity. Boosted when a person is able to wear clothes that are firm.
Yeah, we want our mind to match our body. And so, especially when you're applying for a job or singing at a concert hall, you want to look nice and you want to feel comfortable. And, as an opera singer, I get all of my gowns literally custom made for my body because, I am 6'1.5". So, and, I'm a tall girl. So, that's kind of like a hurdle for me because I'm really tall. So I love being tall,
right.
But, I think finding clothing that fits me and fits me properly can be a challenge. But, I want to feel confident. We all want to feel confident, in what we do and how we present ourselves.
Clothing is storytelling, and it's
really
important that our stories are reflected in how we're seen in the world.
Yes.
And I love and I celebrate people who are out there doing that. All right, so let's go back out to the parade route. Somebody who I think is our CBS Bay Area sporty spice, Kelsey Thorid. You met a Bay Area roller derby team making room for all in sports. Tell us about them.
Yeah, Reed, I did. There are a lot of sporty people out here. And before we get to that story, I just want to show you guys what's going on with the parade right now. There is a lot still happening. We've seen dogs go by. You can see all these guys. This is a local senior dog rescue that's walking through the parade. We saw a bunch of corgis going through earlier. And before that, we saw kind of the row. We were able to speak with former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as well as Representative Adam Schiff, who's running for the Senate here in California. We saw a lot of local assembly members and state senators. But Reed, as you said, there's also a lot of sporty people, myself included. I played a lot of sports in high school, but one sport I never played was roller derby. Well, there is a huge roller derby population here in the Bay Area. It's actually one of the oldest roller derby leagues. They are called Bay Area Derby. It is short for BAD. That's what they call themselves. And they are a bunch of bad people playing that sport. I tell you, I could never play it if I tried, but they're having some issues. The pandemic hit them really hard, and now they're wondering whether or not they're going to be able to stay in their practice facility, and they're asking for the public's help.
Kate Silver first got involved in roller derby about 10 years ago. Right around the same time, she was coming out as trans.
I was looking for community, and so I'd gone to some roller derby games where I was going to grad school, which was in Madison, Wisconsin, and found out that looked very queer and queer friendly, and so I started getting involved.
It didn't take long for Kate to fall in love with the sport. So when she moved to California, one of the first things she did was join the local league.
This league has a special place in derby history. It's one of the first leagues that was founded in the what's called the flat track revival in the early 2000s.
Bay Area Derby, or as many of its members call it, BAD, is one of the most successful leagues in the country, offering opportunities for both beginners and advanced skaters to play and compete. Spider here is one of the newest members.
I just was like kind of stalking them, trying to find, because I was like, I want to get back into skating. And then the first opportunity was a Learn to Skate clinic. And I just signed up, and then I've stayed connected ever since. Derby has long been a sport that queer people have gravitated towards. And in recent years, many trans people, like Kate, say it's one of the last sports they'll feel welcomed playing.
It's probably the only sport in which, at the highest levels, trans women are accepted, and trans men and trans masculine people are accepted without flinching at all.
Spider told me BAD is where they made their first friends in the Bay Area. And because of that, it's grown into so much more than just a sport.
Community, belonging, togetherness, bonding, it means a lot of different things.
But all of that could soon be taken away. Bay Area Derby says it's lost a huge chunk of its revenue since the pandemic and is now struggling to pay rent on its practice facility. If they don't raise $50,000 in the next few months, they may have to end their lease. Spider told me when they first heard that, they couldn't quite believe it.
It's kind of like not real. Like, that can't happen. That can't happen because it would just completely, like, I don't know, like tear apart so many of our lives if we didn't have a space.
Kate says the space has meant so much to their community over the years, she too can't imagine losing it.
Yeah, and it'd be heartrending to lose it. I would be crying for quite a while. So I don't like to think about it.
That's why Kate, Spider, and not going down without a fight. They created a GoFundMe and have already raised tens of thousands of dollars, most of which has been donated by skaters from other leagues from around the world. Kate told me that support has her hopeful they'll reach their goal.
It'd be great to meet our goal and to exceed that goal. We would love that. That would make us very comfortable for the next year or so as we are getting back on our feet.
But as the skaters wait for that day to come, they say they're just cherishing every day they have together, holding on to that welcoming community that initially attracted so many to their sport, and fighting to get the chance to keep it long into the future.
Now, BAD has raised tens of thousands of dollars for that practice facility, but they are still looking for as much help as they can get. Now, back out here at the parade, you can see that we got some first responders coming through here now. It looks like the fire department, everybody, sheriff's office, showing their support. And really a big thing, of course, about people dressing up, wearing the different that they like. Yeah. We got some dancers out here for sure. But as I said, a big thing is people wearing costumes, right? Everybody loves to come out, wear a lot of stuff. And I met these two guys earlier. You guys are from Sacramento. I love the outfits. Why did you guys want to come out here? Why did you want to wear your Pride vest today?
Because it's about unity and togetherness and one and a big umbrella of happiness and joy and love of every race, straight, gay, heterosexual, whatever, transgender. We're all here, we're all together, and we're doing our biggest right now.
Now, I know you said you are from Miami. This is your first San Francisco Pride. How does it compare?
It's almost the same. Yeah.
You have to say it's the best now that
it's the best. We're giving good vibes out here. You know what I'm saying?
It's just because the weather, it's not as warm as Miami, but we're still having a good time out here. Yeah, we're having a great time. And we are, Reed, we've been having a ton of great time. As you can see, the parade is still going on. We got the police officers coming through here now. It's just, it's been a joy out here. This is the first San Francisco Pride that I've gotten to cover, and it has been a ton of fun. And of course, it's still going on.
And you know, Kelsey, as we see the police out there with the pride flags, we're mindful of the fact that this has been a journey of acceptance with law enforcement and the LGBTQ plus community. But there they are. The conversations were very difficult in the 70s and the 80s, as you're about to see in a story coming up. But now, look at that, inroads have been made. And this is the power when conversations happen. People hear our stories, is it not, Kelsey?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, you've heard about prides in other cities where the police have not been invited to participate in the pride. That is not the case here. You can see we have the sheriff's office. It looks like we have FBI agents back here too. We have essentially every level of law enforcement is participating in this parade. And like you said, Reed, it's all about unity. It's all about showing support. And it has been a difficult history, but this is a future that we're looking at now. And these guys here definitely want to show their support for the LGBTQ community.
I love it. Please thank them for their service and from all of us here at the station. Hey, still ahead, meet a man who learned the power of being an ally and an advocate when the Castro was a lot less safe. His message and how that message informs activism and allyship today. But first, from one Pride event to another, Pride Sunday program to stream live from Stern Grove Festival with Nico Case and the iconic Closer I Am to Find Indigo Girls. Here is Juliette Goodrich from Stern Grove.
Hello from Stern Grove. Yes, this is the event after the wonderful parade, and we're getting a sneak listen before this great event. This is Nico Case, and she's doing a sound check right now. This is so cool. What's so great about Stern Grove? It's a community event. It's free to families and communities, and we are your station to watch this, and it's meaningful on this Pride Sunday because it features acts beloved by the LGBTQ community. Nico Case, also the iconic Indigo Girls. You can come here, you can sit with your family and friends in these chairs here. Whoops! And then also up on the hillside, amongst all of these eucalyptus trees, the weather is actually absolutely beautiful. Paul Hagen was spot on with his forecast. And I just want to say that if you can't watch it here today, you can certainly join us live on KBCW. We're going to be broadcasting all afternoon, and you can catch us on the web too, CBS News Bay Area. So we've got you covered. We'll give you one last look here before we go back to the parade coverage. You're watching Hope, Love, Pride on CBS Bay Area. We'll be right back after the break.
Hope, Love, Pride. Proudly presented by Pet Food Express and Broadway San Jose.
All right, a look at some of your Pride Party photos and videos. It's always so fun to see what's going on out there. Video submitted in from Ryan Yamamoto, one of my great friends here at CBS Bay Area. He says, I'm here for the corgis. Another submission from Ryan. As you can see, he is showing all the color filling up Market Street. And as we watch the celebrations all over the Bay Area, we know we stand on the backs of giants. We are mindful of the people who are not on the parade route on this Pride Sunday, people who are not at the house parties, men and women who lived their lives during bigotry that sometimes gave way to violence and found ways, in spite of it all, to build community in the face of so much pain. I recently had a chance to talk with a man who fought back in a very powerful way. Watch.
I wanted to show you.
He's in his 70s now, but Stephen Eubanks remembers life in the Castro in the 70s like it was yesterday.
My old apartment.
Number 33.
Yep. I was somebody that just worked and lived here and did drag anytime I wanted.
Here, he was a young drag queen at a time when being out, even in a neighborhood that housed out people, invited violence.
People followed you. They beat you up on the bus going home from work. Go beat a queer. Go beat a queer. People would yell and throw things at you from their car or spit on you when they're walking down the street. You don't engage. You just keep going.
For a time, that was all he and others could do. Put your head down. Keep going. Don't engage. Stephen says police were no help for gay people back then.
Beat up, robbed, mugged, all of that.
So a group called the Butterfly Brigade joined forces with another group called Gay Action.
We took it upon ourselves. We were basically vigilante, drag queen vigilante. You could hear this 2-3 blocks away.
This is the whistle San Francisco Mayor George Moscone put into Stephen's hands. A whistle he put to work, and a whistle he quickly found he needed.
When you pull the whistle out and you hold it, what do you feel?
where comes power.
Power. The whistle and the knowing others had them too gave them power to know help was on the way from someone like them.
I wanted to be a part of something that made a difference, that meant something, that did things for people.
An story is long forgotten. Watch what happened at the Castro store where Stephen used to buy fabric for drag. He shows a man named Paul Ellis his whistle, and
this is rolling back the years a lot. It really is. It's rolling back the years a lot. I'm sorry.
Memories flood back.
Several times I just took off running in the direction of the whistle just to see if I could be of any help.
These days, Stephen and Paul say could give way to renewed attacks if LGBTQ+ people and their allies are not just as vigilant as they were in the Castro's nights so long ago.
Freedom is a fragile thing. It always has been and always will be. And that means that you can't afford to stop paying attention.
So I'm holding a piece of history in my hand. This is one of the whistles. In the 1970s, it was a call for help for physical danger. And today, as you just heard, those who blew the whistles there in the Castro on those dangerous nights say they are symbolic of the need to come together. Come together in all ways. Come together at all times. Come together to achieve the fullness of the values we named in this broadcast. Hope, love, and pride. And Brianna, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but my soul tells me to do this. I want you to have that.
Oh.
I want you to take that with you.
Thank you.
When you feel nervous before going on stage, whether it's singing the national anthem at Oracle Park,
Yes.
whether it's in front of crowds or in front of a recording mic, I want you to hold that whistle and I want you to know that we stand by you, as a community and we love you. And if you're watching this from somewhere in rural America, if you're a kid who feels like you're different, we just want you to know we're carrying whistles for you. We're carrying whistles for you. I hope you felt that today.
Yes, it was just so powerful, It's just, our community, we just have to stick together. That's all we can do, And we also count on our allies, like our
Right.
straight allies. We need y'all in this movement. It's very powerful. And
We're glad. We're glad you felt that today.
Yes.
What we also want people to feel is hope. And somebody who made sure that hope was celebrated was Harvey Milk. I love Harvey Milk's Hope speech. Our thanks to Manny and Brianna for joining us. And today we want to leave you with this, the Harvey Milk speech read by kids from rural America.
We are Judy and Dennis Shepard, the parents of Matthew Shepard, who was killed in rural America because he was gay.
The Harvey Milk Hope speech is so important to rural kids.
In rural areas, progress like you enjoy in San Francisco is not available to everyone.
Kids in rural areas look to the Bay Area for hope.
And we've got to give them hope.
My name is Harvey Milk, and I'm here to recruit you.
Why are we here? Why are gay people here?
Unless you have dialogue, unless you open the walls of dialogue,
you can never reach to change people's opinion.
Once you have dialogue starting,
you know you can break down prejudice.
In 1977, we saw dialogue start. In 1977, we saw a gay person elected in San Francisco. The anger and the frustration that some of us feel is because we are misunderstood.
And friends can't feel that anger and frustration.
They can sense it in us, but they can't feel it because a friend has never gone through what is known as coming out.
I will never forget what it was like coming out and having nobody to look up toward.
I remember the lack of hope. I can't forget the looks on faces of people who have lost hope.
The only thing they have to look forward to is hope.
And you have to give them hope.
Hope for a better world.
Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that all will be all right.
Without hope, not only are the gays, but the blacks, the seniors, the handicapped, the us's
will give up.
And you.
You have to give people hope.